ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Check this out, we got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Andrew McInnis, back in the ECSI studios to talk some NHL and some CFL, recap week 1 in the CFL, talk about the Stanley Cup. Florida takes I'd like to say a commanding 2-1 lead after the beatdown. ECSI VIPs, congrats. Florida team total over 3.5, plus 105. It's one of those that you invest in and it'll look too easy. And boy, it was. And we'll get into that. If you still have faith in the Oilers, you can get them now plus 210. 210 to win the Stanley Cup. It was funny, after game 1 when Edmonton won, I talked to the ECSI VIPs. I says, hey, if you still have faith in Florida, you can jump on them now at plus 180. So if you got a Florida ticket plus 180 right now, go run to the window and get an Edmonton ticket plus 210 and just enjoy the damn series. Have some fun with it. Shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. Travis, Zach, Guy, myself, Amber, Holly, Carol, Bucks, Ali, Matt, Jay Berry. The list is endless. Do yourself a favor and do that now. Atlanta Steaks and Seafood, .com. Terry Smith on yesterday, the best in the business. Here's what you do. Head on over to Facebook, introduce yourself to Terry Smith, then come back to AtlantaSteaksandSeafood.com and look at this, people. Free New York strips or Wagyu burgers for Father's Day. Use the promo code DAD. So you either get 2 New York strips or 6 Wagyu burgers for any order over $199. Again, promo code DAD. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. I promise you'll enjoy it. So without further ado, Mr. Andrew McInnis. What's up, Andrew?
What's up, Jeff? How are you?
I'm doing better than the Oilers. How are you?
I'd say it'd be hard to be doing worse than them, I would say, but I'm going to say something to maybe be a little optimistic to calm the worrisome that some people have right now and the worried fans. If we're following the pattern, the home team a lot of time wins the first game at home. As far as the 2-part set, you play 2, then it's 1-1-1. So hats off to you for that pick last night. What a call. I mean, like you said, it looked pretty easy to me. I was like, wow, Jeff's on Florida. Okay, bing, bang, boom. 4 goals, make it look easy. But when you look at this series, I mean, the game 4 is the one the Oilers have to have. And you reclaim home ice after that. You go back home, you win that one. Florida wins at home. And then you're game 7 on home ice. That's what you worked for all year long. The Florida Panthers, however, they pretty much collapsed at the end of the regular season. They didn't bother fighting for home ice advantage. They very well could have had it in this series if they kept vying for that number one Atlantic Division spot. But they've been the road team in pretty much every game this year in the playoffs, every big game. So obviously there's so much emphasis now towards game 4. I mean, if they go down 3-1, I don't know if we see 7 games. I don't know if we see 6. But at the end of the day, the pattern that we see a lot of the times, and I know that both games in Edmonton were close, and that's why people are making a big deal out of this. But at the end of the day, a lot of times in NHL, the home team wins game 1 at home, and the road team, if they're going to steal one, they steal the second one on the road. We saw what happened with OKC and Indiana, with Indiana stealing that one, like a late comeback. I mean, you couldn't really believe what happened there, but they stole game 1 on the road. I find that happens more in basketball. It seems to me in the NHL, it's game 2 that belongs to the road team if they're going to win one. So I'm not as worried as some might think. Like, sure, it was kind of a one-way game. It seemed like it got away from them. It's hard for and I think you talked about this, and Carmine, who I do the show with every day on Wager Talk, we can't believe we're ever uttering these sentences, but the Oilers are a better team these days when they play 5-on-5 hockey. Like, if they go to the special teams, they're, sure, they have a good power play, that 2 of the best players in the world, but it throws off their game. I think that if they stick to their game plan, don't get involved in Florida's trap and playing all that greasy stuff, they'll be just fine. The biggest test for the Oilers is going to be, do they get home tonight or last night to their hotel room and say, we lost? Or are they saying, we got their asses kicked? Because if I'm the coach, I'd almost not want this team all wound up. You want the spark, but you don't want them all wound up. At the end of the day, if you lose 8-2 or you lose 2-1 in triple overtime, you still lost. And I'm not making excuses because they did not look good. That was their worst game since game 2 against the Kings in round 1, Jeff. But at the end of the day, the road team a lot of times takes the second game when they're a visitor. I'm not as worried as some people are.
We remember what we saw last. You go to Edmonton, the first 2 games. Game 1, Edmonton won in overtime. Game 2, the Rat, Marchand, and the Panthers win in double overtime. So now you come back to Florida. And as you said, it was a statement. They got out early. They never looked back. I mean, it looked like a WWE. They got chippy. And it was like Florida leaned on them, played their style, and almost dangled the cheese, and Edmonton bit. And if I was the coach, I would take that. I would bring the team in. I would take that tape, show it to them in my hand, and I'd throw it in the trash. I was like, we don't need to go over this tape. We got to forget that, and we got to get back to Edmonton Oiler hockey and style. We can't play chippy. We can't play in the box. Because listen, it wasn't Skinner's fault last night. The team let him down. But at the end of the day, if the Florida team lets Bob down, Bob's more up to still potentially save the day, where Skinner is not Grant Fuhr, and he's most likely not going to save the day, Andrew.
That's exactly it. And if I told you between Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, they had 3 shots. 3 shots. That's not enough. That's just not enough. To me, they seemed way too picky. Like, I think they had, as many penalties as they took, they had quite a few power plays themselves, right? For the fact that, Draisaitl, you know how many shots he had out of those 3 shots? 0. He's going to win the Hart Trophy this year as the best, pretty much, goal scorer in the league. And he decided in a game 3 in the Stanley Cup Finals, he shouldn't take a shot. In game 1, he scored 2 goals in the same game, but he's not going to take a shot in game 3. And I know sometimes you sound like a casual fan if you're just one of those guys in the crowd yelling, shoot the puck. But at the end of the day, you need to shoot from bad angles sometimes. And the Oilers that I saw last night were the Oilers that try and play too fancy. And it really bothered me. It felt like I was, I mean, obviously I'm rooting for them, but it bothered me because every play is not going to be perfect. So Corey Perry got you 5 goals. Yesterday, a free play for me was Evan Bouchard over 2.5 shots on goal. Wish that made the client card. Guess how many he had? 9. 9 shots on goal. It's unbelievable. This guy, in the first 2 games of the series, he had 28 shot attempts. He's now had 7, 8, and 9 shots on goal through the first 3 games. Is that kind of sad that your defenseman has that many shots, but your best goal scorer, maybe one of your best, had 0? That's a problem to me. But I love what you said there. Throw away the tape. I'll tell you, for anybody out there watching, it's not too late to get on the train because Corey Perry, anytime point, Evan Rodriguez, anytime point, Evan Bouchard over 2.5 shots on goal. Those are the 3 props you need. I mean, go out to dinner, enjoy yourself, have a great night, and then watch those 3 players cash tickets for you. I haven't really been giving out props. I've been just using them as free plays, and I wish I had been because right now, these 3 players, it's amazing. You know how many points Barkov has this series? And it's kind of funny because I was talking him up as the Conn Smythe winner. He has 0 points. Matthew Tkachuk, who I'm not the biggest fan of, has 2 points. Brad Marchand, Lindell, Lasarainen, Bennett, those are the guys scoring all the goals and the points. That's kind of scary. But it also, and I know, Jeff, I'm talking with my heart here when I say this. It makes me feel for a guy like Connor McDavid. Because think about Connor McDavid's series so far. Think about Barkov. Barkov's the captain of that team and has 0 points. And his team is putting up like 5 goals a game, 4 goals a game. What would happen if McDavid had 0 points in this whole series? They'd be down 3-0 in this series.
Do you know who the favorite is now to win the Conn Smythe?
It's Bennett, isn't it? Unbelievable. I saw a guy on Twitter yesterday that had like 33-1 on him.
Now we forget that Florida was up 3-0 and Oilers forced a Game 7. Extra days rest, right? They don't play till Thursday.
That's right.
Now, Edmonton,
which is shocking because they had 2 days off already, and they give them 2 days off again. I don't know how that makes sense.
Maybe the extra day is going to benefit the Oilers, but there's a part of me that would not be shocked if Florida wins Game 4, goes up 3-1. Edmonton regroups, wins Game 5 in big fashion, steals Game 6, and here we are again, deja vu, Game 7, this time in Edmonton, not Florida.
Jeff, you bet a lot of the team totals, but from an overall total perspective, because last night I feel bad for underbettors. That game, I mean, it was so close to staying under with all those power plays. But one thing that I did think about going into this series was the under and Florida correlated parlay would be active, would be there, would be alive. And if you told me it was first to 5 or 6, it would be an Oilers game all day long. And it's not because I didn't think the Panthers had depth. It was more because of Bob and because of their defense. And so at this point, what's the best style for this Oilers team? Because clearly rolling the puck out, I mean, it was one of their worst defensive games they've had. And I just felt like they played like pond hockey last night. They didn't play a structured game. It was like, we're going to play as fancy as we can and hope we score more than they do. But at this point, do the Oilers need to win a game in low-scoring fashion in order to have success in this series? Because from where I'm sitting, there's going to have to be a performance they have in the next 2 games where they don't give up more than 2 goals. And if they do, it's going to we saw they went down 1-0 yesterday, and it felt like they had never been down 1-0 in their lives. They acted like they were down 5-0, Jeff. They were down 1-0. And they act like the game was over. All of a sudden, it's 2-0, full-on panic, taking a bad penalty, taking a hooking call, delay of the game call. the game wasn't over, and it felt like it was well over, and there was half the game left.
Well, it was funny because again, that early goal, crowd is in a frenzy, and it's 1-0. Next thing you know, it's 2-0. But the real catch was Edmonton makes it 2-1. Florida scores right on top of them. Now
Yeah.
it's 3-1. But I thought that the telling point, and I think Gabe talked about it yesterday on Sports Grid, it was 4-1 in the second period. You just needed to get that next goal because you make it 4-2, third period, anything can happen. We know that. And then it just, the WWE started. You know, part of me wants to say this, Andrew, today, and again, we'll be talking throughout the week on this. Everyone betting the overs, everyone betting the first period overs. You can do your gloat, your duck boats, your parades. You can do it now. God bless you. You're 3-0, 3-0. First period overs and the overs. You might get another one in game 4. And then maybe game 5 is the Edmonton blowout. And then I think it's 3-2, 3-2, game 6 and 7. That's probably, and it stays under.
Yeah, that's a good call. It's a good call because, there was a time and place where we were seeing higher scoring games late in the series, and now it's been very evident. And that's why a lot of the 5% plays I've had at Wager Talk during this postseason overall, as you know, have been looking for goals in the first period or full game of game ones. I haven't really been in action in this series since then. I wish I did keep playing that same bet. Like you said, it would have been pretty fantastic if I just kept ripping the same bet. But at the end of the day, it's going to change. And I think it's got to be the Oilers that are comfortable with, okay, we've gotten past the red line here. Let's dump the puck in. Let's dump the puck in and see what happens. I'm curious to see how they manage the lines. You know what I really think they need to do? They need to trust their bottom 6 more. Chris Nabla, I think, needs to trust the bottom 6 more. If they keep McDavid and Draisaitl off the ice a little bit, it will force Paul Maurice to put out his bottom 6 guys. And I think that fourth line versus fourth line, the Oilers can compete with those guys. Third line versus third line, I'm not as sure. But then all of a sudden you give McDavid 2 or 3 minutes of a break on the bench. He comes in with the burst of energy. They need to almost get McDavid out there between play, not between whistles, because that way they can catch guys off guard. He flips over the bench, then he gets going. So I'm curious here. Let's see if I can bring it up, Jeff, because I think that, looking at the ice time sometimes can be pretty interesting to see just how some of these teams, used each player, because I'm going to take a look at some of these guys, because when I look at, so here it is for Brad Marchand, how much he played. I mean, for the time that he's on the ice, let's see here. So Sam Bennett, he got a goal. He was +1, 2 shots on goal, 19 shifts, 6 minutes or 6 hits, 13-34. So think about how productive he was, Sam Bennett. It feels to me like he played like 20 minutes last night because he was so productive. Let's go over to Lundell. Lundell, he got 1 assist. He got a shot on goal, 1 hit. He was +1, 12-48. Marchand, 1 assist, or 1 point, a goal, +1, 2 shots on goal, 15-38. So you've got like the players that are not really supposed to be the best players on the team playing under around 15 minutes. When you look at the Oilers, it's, they've got Henrique, 15 minutes. They've got Frederick, 7 minutes. Connor Brown, 16 minutes. Kapanen. I mean, Kapanen can't only play 8:57. He was -2 on the night. I get it. But the way I look at it, Jeff, is no one has to worry about McDavid's confidence getting up. No one has to worry about Draisaitl's confidence getting up. I strongly believe the key for these guys is to get Arvidsson, to get Podkolzin, to get Kapanen's confidence up. If I'm McDavid, I'm in there hyping up these guys. I know what I'm capable of. I need you to follow suit. I'm not saying that these guys aren't going to be any help, but it reminds me of, when it was LeBron versus the Warriors, when he had a bunch of no-name guys, and it was like Klay Thompson and Iguodala and Steph Curry and Draymond Green. It's like, if you give me 10 and 10 tonight, we're going to win this game. If anybody on the third line gives McDavid one goal, typically they win. And he just wasn't able to get that last night.
Do you split up McDavid and Draisaitl, put Draisaitl on the second line, and then just combine them on the power play?
I think you have to do that. When they start panicking, Jeff, they put them back together, which I get it. But at the end of the day, it's about separation, creating shots. You know what I'd be looking at again for both players, both goalies. Everybody seems to be an expert on goalie save props. I don't know if you've seen that on social media right now, but I'd be looking at Bobrovsky's save prop tomorrow, or Thursday, excuse me, because even if the Oilers win or don't win, they're going to get their shots. You and I are talking about, it's a full-on kitchen sink game, as I like to call it. They're going to throw everything in the kitchen plus the sink at them and hope they can get a few cheeky goals, because it's one thing to lose, but if they lose by not, having their star players have a ton of shots on goal, like Leon Draisaitl will be a bet personally for me Thursday night over on his shots on goal. He went from from 2 goals to a donut shots on goal. Imagine him being in the summer back home in Germany thinking, in game 3, I didn't have one single shot. It's not right. It's not right.
And I'll close with this. There was a deflection by Kane, and Bob just sticks the glove out, and Kane looks up like, "You got to be shitting me!" He just out of, he was almost not sprawling, but he just flicks the glove out, and would have been a big momentum change. But that game's on Thursday. Again, anyone holding a Florida plus 180 ticket after game 1, do yourself a favor. Jump on Circa right now. You can get Edmonton Oilers plus 210. Guys, enjoy it. Have some fun. Who cares if it goes 5, 6, or 7 after that? You got plus 80 cents or plus $1.10 on the other. God, don't be dumb. Don't be like that schmuck holding that OKC and Oiler ticket and wouldn't take his 120,000. Man, he's going to be eating ramen noodles before you know it. So, CFL opening weekend. ECSI VIPs 3-1 on the team totals. I am extremely, extremely grateful. And I'm also a little salty because we were a 2-point conversion away from Hamilton to getting to 4-0. But watching the game on Sunday, was it Sunday? No, Saturday night, Sunday. Montreal playing with their food for a while, and then, boy, did they kick it into overdrive in the second half. So I'm grateful there. What'd your eyes see opening weekend in the CFL?
Yeah, I'm going to be fully transparent every week. 2-2 close for me. If we count the preseason, we're still up and profitable. This was a week where we saw the favorites go 3-1, home teams 4-0, I believe. And looking at the over-unders, I think it was 2-2. It was very close to being 3-1. However, looking at some of these teams here, what we saw a lot, Jeff, was what we expected a little bit, which was the turnover. The teams with a lot of roster turnover didn't perform highly. A lot of those teams anyway. You look at Toronto, their defense, they had a lot of new faces on defense. They got picked apart quite a bit. Ottawa, a lot of new members of their defense. Their offense, Drew Brown throws for 400 yards again. But again, I always say in the CFL, watch out for those garbage time yards. Watch out for the team that can't run the ball, so they're only throwing the ball. And those can be some artificial yards a little bit here. But, I saw a lot of good football. I saw a lot of guys making plays. And I think we already found out that Montreal is potentially in midseason form, and it's only week 1. We don't want to have our underreactions, our overreactions too much. But, looking at some of these notes I have here at some of these teams, you're trying to figure out what you're overreacting to and what you're underreacting to a little bit too much. But I got some quotes to look at, but these are the key overreactions. a lot of people are like, okay, are the Toronto Argonauts seriously in trouble? Are they going to be okay if Chad Kelly can't go in week 2? Is their defensive line or their offensive line going to hold up and be able to protect their quarterbacks this year? Realistically, it's only 1 week, and when they get Chad Kelly back, who's an unbelievable quarterback, they're going to be just fine. As far as the Montreal and BC, everyone's talking about how these teams are going to be unbeatable. No one's going to be able to touch them. It's 1 week. All right. A lot of things went well for Montreal, including turnovers. A lot of things went well for BC, including playing against your Elks. So everyone looks good against the Elks. So that's not too bad for them. And the funny thing is, Edmonton led at halftime, and they looked pretty good. They had some takeaways. You could see the pieces coming together. Trey Ford looked promising in the first half. Things just looked a little bit different. So I saw some pretty good football, Jeff. And as we say in every football league, college football, NFL, CFL, week 2 is overreaction week.
And actually, I think I misspoke a little too on the. It was BC that was the make us 3-1. Did not have a good first half, as you said. Actually, the Elks defense played well. You know what I did notice? I think in 3 of the 4 games that teams came out of the locker room at half and scored instantly. And it was like BC scored 3 touchdowns on their first 3 possessions of the second half. Almost took a pick 6 in to get us over the total. They got stopped on the 2. I think it was 1 play later they ran it in. Did see some promise from Trey, but again, it's almost like schoolball, junkyard ball, where again the actual play didn't work, and then he's running for his life, and then that 1 play that he heaved it 30-40 yards for a completion. I was happy. I was excited. We were talking backstage about some lines and stuff. I have the scroller going now. My producer got some, but I'll just go over right now. Thursday night on FanDuel. BC minus 2.5 at Winnipeg with a 49.5. And again, we talk about overreaction. Winnipeg, if I remember correctly, Andrew, slow starters last year, correct?
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, 0-3, maybe 1-4 to start the year. And here comes the BC Lions, 2.5-point favorites.
Yeah, that's one that, 5 days rest for them? And according to the practice media report that got sent out, they're going to just have 1 practice this week. 1 practice before they head to Winnipeg. Here's the deal here. In every single sport, or every football league, typically, Jeff, you know how it goes. You want to bet on the team the first time around with the backup quarterback. That's what we're getting here. Everybody should know Chris Streveler by now. He had a couple stints in NFL preseason action. I believe he had 1 stint actually playing a regular season NFL game. He is back to Winnipeg again. He's pretty much been a career backup in the CFL. Then he made a little bit of an attempt to go to the NFL. He returned back. Believe it or not, Zach Collaros suspended for week 1. I think it was like he failed to do a test during the offseason or something like, I don't want to misspeak, Jeff, but something like that. I don't think it was anything too crazy, but they just gave him a 1-week suspension. So that was one of the reasons why I liked them in the preseason, actually, a couple weeks ago, because he was able to play in the preseason and he needed to get those reps in, but he wasn't able to play in week 1. Going into this week, I'm confident in Chris Streveler. One thing you can count on with Chris Streveler, which I think is important in any league, but especially in the CFL, he just makes the right decisions. And that's what Winnipeg will do to you. They are like that Mr. Fundamental type team. They are the team that will hit the open receiver. They'll throw it over the top for 5 yards. They'll move the chains. That's what they do. Let's not forget, last year, the most outstanding player in the league was a running back, and he played for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That's what they do. That's what the Bombers will do. They still have Willie Jefferson. They still have a handful of guys on the defensive side that can make plays. Sure, they did lose some offensive weapons. That could be something that could be cause for concern. I don't think it will be here. And you mentioned the numbers there, Jeff. I think this is a spot for us to take Winnipeg. And there's the funny thing is, I don't have the exact numbers here for you, but a lot of the time, because we all learn by mistakes, from our mistakes. I used to think that it was an automatic bet to bet on the team against the team that was coming off the week 1 bye. Well, this team has had a week under their belt. This team, and I can just hear Gabe Morency too. Well, this team has had an extra week of practice, right? This team has had an extra week to go over their plays. And a lot of times you always say you can't replicate gameplay in practice. But I think with this Winnipeg team, especially with their offensive coordinator now being the head coach of BC, which is kind of an interesting angle here, I think that Winnipeg's the right side here. Right now, 2.5 favoring BC. I would love to see if we could somehow get a 3. I do think people are going to be on BC in this one. And you know how it is, Jeff. Any CFL bettors, especially casual bettors, are going to say, oh, Zach Collaros isn't playing. I have to take BC. And whenever we hear that, we know how we like to think.
Friday, 7:30, Montreal travels to Ottawa. Ottawa 0-1, a 10.5 over-under on their season totals, yet 1.5 point favorites. Only minus 105. If you're taking the Alouettes, plus 1.5, it is minus 115. 49 and a hook here. I think people with Ottawa Red Blacks over Mr. Gabe Morency will be all over Ottawa on Friday.
Yeah, it's a game time decision. We're going to figure out. Actually, Drew Brown got injured a little bit, which, if you remember, I was talking about how poor their offensive line is over there in Ottawa. And he's such a great quarterback, but they can't protect him to save his life. And he took a hard hit. I think that's one of the reasons why we're having a tough time getting lines up this week, because they're waiting on some injury reports, which is very tough for the league. Because it's becoming a very skilled league, but the depth isn't really there, Jeff. So once you drop off to QB2 or 3, then the skill level really drops. I hope he's okay. But when you look at this team, it's the offensive line that's really the biggest worry. I mean, and I look at some of the injuries over here right now, they're saying cause for concern. Drew Brown taking a late hit, adding to a pre-existing offensive line injury carousel. 3 guys, hand injuries, foot injuries. It's not looking good for them as far as their offensive line and now quarterback. That could cause for concern. Over the last handful of years, I'll pull up the ATS numbers. Montreal has been absolutely dominant in this matchup. When I take a look at it here, Montreal, since 2023 with head coach Jason Moss against Ottawa, 7-0 straight up, 6-1 ATS, Moss versus Bob Dice. Here's the only thing I'll say is that Ottawa at home last year, 7-1-1. Much better home team than they were on the road. And that was one reason I had confidence with the Saskatchewan first half last week in week 1, and I had the parlay with BC and Saskatchewan. I want to wait to see if Drew Brown's healthy, and I think I'll be on the over in this game. Look, Montreal looked good defensively, but as I always say, and I said this last week on some shows, in the CFL, a good defense leads to points a lot of the time. Like when there's a pick, they're taking the interception and they're taking it almost to the house most of the time, or a strip sack. The field's big. You get that ball, you run wide, you're going to gain some yardage. So, a lot of times you might think, okay, well, if a team has a lot of takeaways per game, then maybe it won't lead to points, but I think it still will. So I lean towards the over. I'm seeing it at 49.5. It needs to be Drew Brown, so I'm waiting for his health to be good there. Bob Dice had kind of some interesting quotes as far as what he thought, but I'll tell you, right now, Montreal's quotes were great. That's going to be what we do. We're going to try and run the ball on everybody every single week. We want to dominate the line of scrimmage, get our running backs involved, open up the passing game. Our preparation in training camp, we're really emphasize turnovers, making plays on defense, taking the ball away from them. That's our emphasis this year. When I see those quotes, Jeff, what I want to do is bet anytime touchdown scorer on Montreal's defense every week.
It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to hear you with Gabe, and he'll be talking that one up, of course, tonight on the Sports Grid. Saturday, 4 o'clock, Calgary and Toronto. And it was funny. We were fading Calgary last year. If I remember correctly, they actually won a few games early. They kind of faded. Toronto minus 3.5 with a 50.5. Next move actually will be back to 3. If I'm doing some quick math, I can tell you one thing right now. I will have that Toronto team total over 27 and a hook if I can get it.
I like your mind. I mean, when you look at it, 38-26. So Hamilton surrenders 38. Calgary still surrenders 26 here. Did Hamilton have a bad game, or did Calgary have a good game, or can it be a little bit of both? Vernon Adams Jr. in his first game in the Calgary Stampeders uniform still had 2 interceptions. And I always talk about how key special teams can be in CFL action. They had a ton of punt returns, big yardage, 30, 40 yards, which gave their team field position. The defense, special teams, not good for Hamilton. I learned the hard way. Next time you see me on Hamilton, it'll probably just be an over or a team total over. And we'll see what happens there. Is this not, I mean, this might be the overreaction week play. I mean, if you think about it, when you look at some of these games, you can kind of create an angle for all of them. But I didn't actually get involved in that Toronto and Montreal game, as you know, last week. But when you look at this number, you almost have to think, you got to watch the practice reports, see what goes on with the offensive line injuries, see if Chad Kelly's going to be able to be there. The number's at 3.5. Calgary going on the road now. I don't think anybody's defense can look as bad as Hamilton's defense looked in week 1, Jeff. I don't.
No, and Saturday, 7 o'clock, Saskatchewan travels to Hamilton. Saskatchewan minus 3.5 with a 50 and a hook. Again, if my math is correct, initial, maybe overreaction, but my initial thought is the Saskatchewan team total will probably be over 27.5 as well.
Yeah, I'm worried. As much as I say that we want to bet on the injured team sometimes, they just got a lot of injuries. Like, they got a lot of injuries, Saskatchewan. They had, I'll try and find like the exact ones, but they lost receivers. They lost their running back, obviously. AJ Ouellette, suspected head injury. Schaefer Baker, wide receiver, ankle injury. DB Roland Milligan Jr., neck injury. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. So you lose your star running back, one of your top receivers, and your best DB. That's tough for a week 1. That is tough for a week 1. And I know, Jeff, that we're supposed to back the injured team, but the opening number on FanDuel was 4.5, now moved quickly to 3 and a hook here. And I just said to you, I don't really want to be betting on Hamilton again. But I'm tempted because Hamilton was much better at home last year as well. We'll see what can happen, because this is the thing about Saskatchewan has a very good run defense. That's their MO. They shut down Ottawa's running game last week, so they forced them to have to pass everything. I think when I look at this game, though, Hamilton thrives with their passing game. If they can start to pass the ball very well, then they can mix in the run. They're going to be able to put points up on Saskatchewan. And I just kind of have that feeling that even though we're supposed to not overreact to injuries, it might be too many injuries for Saskatchewan. And this could be one of those ones where Hamilton goes out west, they lose week 1, and week 2 they come back, they get an injury-riddled team. They're getting 3 in the hook. This game, to me, overall, has field goal written all over it. I think one of those teams is kicking for a field goal for the win. So we'll see what ends up happening. But as of right now, I'm on that dog. I like that side there. And, again, we're not going to be contrarian in every play. I'm going to keep an eye out. I got all kinds of reports I'm reading, still have to catch up on from yesterday. I got new reports to look at for today. We'll be involved in some totals, but really looking at it. So appreciate that comment, but Jeff had himself a week as well. So make sure you're following Jeff's team totals.
Shout out to Profit Margin. Andrew is the best CFL handicapper out here. Listen, I think this is year 4 or 5 for us. I learned from the best, Mr. Profit Margin. So thank you so much. Scroller right at the bottom. At McInnis Picks, of course, Wager Talk, WT.buzz/AM. What do you have in store for the people?
Jeff, I just shared something on the screen there. If you could pop it up for me. It's the last day that we have this deal available. 7 days for $77. You're going to get everything, NHL, MLB, CFL, all sports, all plays. The promo code is GameOn77. That expires today here, guys. We've been profiting each week. We're up 23 units in 2025. It's a slow grind for how I go with the clients right now. We chip away. We're betting team totals like Jeff. We're trying to find the plus money. We cashed a 4% MLB play yesterday, raised team total over 4.5 plus 105. We got some CFL plays getting ready to fire out for this weekend. NHL Game 4, I'll be in action. So the last day available for this deal here, guys. If you want to try me out for 7 days, $77 is a fantastic deal. Typically, one play goes for $25 alone. You're going to get 7 days for $77. Just make sure you use that promo code GameOn77. You go to my homepage, you go to 7-day all access, you type in GameOn77, and you get everything for just $77 for 1 week. It's a great deal, but it's the last day to get that. So if you guys want to get involved, the volume will be there this week. Don't worry, you'll get all kinds of plays for this great deal.
Amazing stuff as always. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Brady Cannon back for Tea Time Wagers. The U.S. Open Father's Day weekend. Will Bryson DeChambeau defend his U.S. Open? Will Rory McIlroy pull his head out of his ass? Or is it just the life of Scotty Scheffler and everyone fighting for second? So make sure everyone tunes in there. Again, shout out to Profit Margin. Shout out to everyone watching and listening. If you haven't already, jump on over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investors. Subscribe. It's free. We're working on almost 12,000 subscribers over there. Come on back to EC Sports Invest. Follow us on Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it today, and we will follow you back. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only, Mr. Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks, excuse me. We wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy yourself, stay in your lane, and we will see you soon.